transformed into the solitary omega within an entire alpha boy band. I cautiously clasped my vest tightly. The glands must remain concealed, and the pheromones must not be released. I believed I had taken every precaution, until I encountered the barrage of comments floating before me on stage. "Oi, my darling's waist is so slender and fair. Oh no, it seems my teammates' pheromones are in turmoil, since they are all alphas. It should be fine, right? Help, it is not fine at all." 1. I concealed myself in the lounge, cautiously peeling off the pheromone patch from the nape of my neck. Originally invisible, the patch now glimmered a faint pink due to its saturation with pheromones. I gazed into the mirror and sighed. After 24 hours of wearing the patch, my glands had long since developed an allergy. They now swelled, resembling a perfectly shaped honeycomb. Enduring the sting, I affixed a new patch, smoothing out its creases before opening the door. No one would suspect that an omega had once occupied this lounge. This body I inhabit, a mere 179, possesses long limbs and, apart from an excessively beautiful face, raises no suspicions of being an omega. In this world, the number of omegas is exceedingly rare, most being kept by the nobility in their homes. Day after day, they languish in opulent courtyards, their legs atrophying, with most not exceeding a height of 170. Yet here I am, a complete omega, brazenly residing in a boy band composed of 5 alphas. It is unavoidable, as a nurturing concept, the W.S. boy band's initial selling point was that all members were alphas. 5 boys, each with a 100 probability of alpha differentiation detected during their trainee phase, bound to the company for a decade. If not for unforeseen circumstances, this could have been a splendid arrangement. However, at the age of 18, I differentiated into an omega. Simultaneously, my brother, who had always been my companion, mysteriously vanished, leaving behind a debt of 5 million. My parents had passed away, and our financial situation was far from affluent. MS remains my only source of income. Additionally, the penalty for breaching the contract is also 5 million. I had no choice but to endure, purchasing 2 full boxes of pheromone suppressants, relying on suppressants and perfume to mask my condition. Fortunately, my teammates do not harbor much fondness for me. For instance, there is Chi-gu next door, possessing an extraordinarily alluring visage. He is also a renowned scion of C-City, rumored to have a unique family background. He joined the boy band merely for amusement, as he is destined to return home to inherit the family business. Then there is our captain, Chi-mo, residing across the hall, whose lineage is even more remarkable. Chi-mo has effortlessly secured the championship in professional categories during shooting programs, and speculation regarding his identity abounds online. Yet he remains firmly within the upper echelons of society. The other teammates also hail from distinguished backgrounds. Only I, ordinary and unremarkable, am not particularly outstanding in any regard. Nevertheless, during route planning, the agent once remarked that such a persona is the easiest to establish. Others are untouchable, to be revered as deities, while I take on the approachable neighborly persona. Yet, I cannot fathom why this neighborly older brother image seems rather peculiar, attracting not many female fans but rather a multitude of eccentric admirers. However, compared to the toxic fans of my teammates, it is still preferable. In summary, I am quite content with my current life, if only that unfortunate incident had not transpired. 2. Alphas experience several pheromone disruption periods each year. Generally, with the Federation's advanced technology, a couple of injections of suppressants should suffice. Yet, MS necessitates frequent stays in the team villa. With so many alphas cohabiting, this inevitably incites a strong pheromone upheaval. The agent has sought to avoid this, but it remains an unresolved physiological issue. Ultimately, the teammates who trigger disruptions are required to reside separately, with others filling in. Due to my unique circumstances, I have sought excuses to go out several times. Yet some teammates, like Captain Chi-mo, have never experienced a disruption. Chi-mo is known for his cold and detached demeanor, with obsidian hair and eyes, and his shirts always buttoned to the top, exemplifying the ideal of male decorum. His control during dance is perpetually impeccable, and his practice is as diligent as that of a machine. His fans proudly declare, Chi-mo is born for the stage. Moreover, Chi-mo has never revealed a hint of flaw in front of the camera. Over the years, he is one of the few who has never succumbed to a pheromone disruption. Yet, it is this aloof and restrained captain who has me pinned against the cramped changing room, emitting an enticing and suggestive pheromone. I've taken medication to control the duration. It won't be long. He paused. Others 1T notice. Captain? I looked up at him in confusion, with a black joker-shaped pheromone suppressor around his neck. I was momentarily unconcerned about my identity being discovered, especially since Chi-Mo has always maintained his composure and respect towards other teammates. I stood on my toes, reaching out to touch his forehead. It was burning hot. I hesitated. Are you feverish? I'll take you to the infirmary. Chi-Mo gently grasped my hand. His palm was devoid of the usual dampness, only radiating an abnormal heat. The prominent veins on the back of his hand traced a path up to his forearm, the rippling muscles suggesting an impending outburst. Yet, those deep-set eyes remained serene. I opened my mouth. Chi-Mo, you before I could finish. A large hand suddenly clasped around my neck, forcefully pressing my face downwards. A moist, fervent kiss. A fleeting connection. 3. Emerging from the changing room, my expression was far from pleasant. Lin Yen, the man before the mirror, turned slowly at the sound. Clad in a snug black turtleneck, the lightweight fabric hugged his well-defined physique, showcasing the contours of his muscles. It was Ling Che, the elusive member of our team. He seldom appeared in the M.S. villa, only making an appearance during performances. What's wrong? Ling Che inquired. Nothing. I pressed my lips together, the reflection in the mirror displaying a face with drooping eyes and an unmistakable air of rejection. Ling Che paused, then suddenly reached out, brushing behind my ear. A jolt of electricity coursed through me, and I instinctively bristled, glaring at him. What are you doing? Nothing. Ling Che feigned indifference, though his eyes had turned cold. He casually remarked, why is there a red mark behind your ear? Is there? I raised my hand to touch the area behind my ear, and when he attempted to touch it again, I swatted his hand away. What are you doing? I must have appeared quite flustered, yet I could not afford to dwell on that. Don't touch me, I hastily exclaimed before darting into a nearby cubicle. Ling Che's hand fell empty, frozen in place, his expression awkward as he stammered. However, all he faced was my unwaveringly retreating back. Hurriedly seeking refuge in the adjacent room, I covered my mouth and nose, gasping for breath. It was overwhelmingly intense. Having come into contact with 2 alphas in quick succession, my pheromones were teetering on the brink of chaos. Trembling, I fumbled through my pocket for a suppressant and injected another dose into my arm. No, I absolutely cannot reveal any weakness on stage. In just 10 minutes, M.S. would be on stage. It was still timely for another shot. I remained there, my chest heaving, until the familiar clarity returned, and I slowly opened my eyes. Time was of the essence. I pushed open the door and stepped outside, naturally oblivious to the familiar setup of the makeup room, the sign of Chi in the corner, and the sound of polished shoes echoing on the floor approached from a distance. Someone let out a derisive laugh. How amusing. Where have you been hiding? As soon as Agent Zhao spotted me, she launched into a scolding tirade. I've told you repeatedly not to wander off. The performance is about to commence, do you understand? I apologize, Sister Zhao, I said, lowering my gaze in contrition. Zhao's anger seemed to wane slightly, yet she couldn't resist reprimanding me a bit more. I lifted my head to gaze at Chi-Mo standing behind her. He appeared unfazed, as if nothing were amiss. Suddenly, a surge of irritation welled up within me, a primal urge to bite down on something. At that moment, Yutan, standing beside me, cheerfully draped an arm around my shoulders, inadvertently creating a barrier between me and the agent. Sister Zhao, Brother Lin already acknowledged it. Let us cut down on the lecturing, he said. Besides, there are still others who haven't arrived, he added. Yutan, youthful and charmingly petulant, with a radiant angelic visage, was quite favored by Sister Zhao. Upon hearing his words, Zhao's stern expression finally softened. She merely admonished me with a single instruction. Make sure to arrive early next time. You don't have the fiercely loyal fanbase like Chi Gu and Ling Che. The public's expectations of you are exceedingly high. A minor misstep could lead to your downfall. For some reason, upon hearing this, Yutan's expression momentarily stiffened. I nodded gently. I understand. Thank you for the reminder, Sister Zhao. Yutan grinned as he tightened his grip on my arm. All right, Sister Zhao, let us not dwell on that. The urgent matter is to bring Chi Gu and Ling Gu back. Indeed. Zhao's brow furrowed once more. As the saying goes, inviting a deity is easy, but sending them away is difficult, yet her team was graced with several deities. Aside from me, who could manage a bit, the others were left to their own devices. For instance, it was now 5 minutes until the performance began, and yet Ling Che and Chi Gu had yet to arrive. However, these two were known for their punctuality, so she was not overly concerned about any performance mishaps. As the stage lights adjusted, two sets of footsteps emerged, one steady and deliberate, belonging to Ling Che, who was always grounded in his actions. The other, light and airy yet producing a crisp sound on the floor, belonged to the aristocratic Chi-gu. The agent sighed in relief. "You're here." I lifted my gaze, scrutinizing the two tardy teammates through the flickering lights. Chi-gu wore a slight smile, his diamond earrings glimmering amidst his golden locks, casting a subtle sparkle. However, that brilliance was overshadowed entirely by his striking visage, which had sent countless fans into raptures, setting unprecedented sales records in the top 4 publications and amassing an overwhelming volume of likes on short videos globally. An unparalleled beauty in the entertainment industry. If my other teammates' faces were akin to finely carved jade, then Chi-ji's visage was undoubtedly the finest Padparatska sapphire, celebrated for its uniqueness and beauty, often referred to as the Royal Sapphire. The editor of Lunar magazine remarked that my style differed vastly from his. "You embody the pinnacle of subtlety. It is not that you lack refinement, but rather, you possess an innate adaptability akin to water, losing distinctiveness yet gaining unparalleled compatibility. My dear, you are better suited for the role of an actor. What you lack, Arthur possesses abundantly raw magnetism. If you wish to elevate your fashion sense, you must amplify your allure. Frankly, you do not exude the wildness of an alpha. Instead, you seem to have become one of the most conservative betas." And Chi-gu, as a quintessential alpha, exuded a fierce and unrestrained presence, reigning supreme on stage. Reflecting on this, I sighed. Perhaps the editor of Lunar had forgotten that every individual is unique. I bore the weight of 1,000,000 debts, living with utmost caution. Meanwhile, even the most modest sports car in Chi-ji's mansion exceeded 5 million. Perhaps it was this tinge of self-pity that kept me from approaching him. After all, while it was acceptable to be impoverished, being perceived as a sycophantic admirer would be utterly pitiful. Behind the stage, the electronic screen displayed the final countdown. I focused on the luminous characters, taking a deep breath. The stage was the only domain I could command. The new song by M.S. was personally composed by the international music maestro Norman, with production helmed by the industry's finest. Every aspect of the stage and its decor was meticulously crafted, elevating the visual feast to its zenith. For this performance, I had abstained from proper meals for 3 months. Each day, the moment I opened and closed my eyes, I was rehearsing my moves. Fans on social media commented on my weight loss, urging me to take care of my health. Yet, I understood the importance of this performance and pushed myself even harder. It was pivotal for my future. I could not afford to slacken my efforts. Thus, when I stood on stage and beheld the barrage of comments floating before me, I was momentarily taken aback. "Oi, wifey, looking so spicy today. Are you tempting me?" To the one in front, his shirt buttons are all done up to his neck. "Is this spicy? Do you have X-ray vision?" Leisurely, this humble one is enamored with wifey. The screen was flooded with brash remarks. I couldn't help but purse my lips. "Ah," he frowned. "He has feelings for me. A sycophant ends up with nothing. Wifey, look at me. Humph, you sycophants can only rage in impotence, unlike my Mo-gu, who can spend every day with Nyen Nyen. Sigh, I wonder if it will spark a thunderstorm. TSK, with that demeanor he might manage a big house, but asking him to learn those club-like tricks might be a stretch. Mo-gu? Male de gu? Who were they referring to? At that moment, accompanied by the soaring strains of the violin, the tempestuous interlude abruptly ceased. The core of the performance had arrived. This was one of the hallmarks of the M.S. boy band, a quintessence that could not be replicated. The audience's cheers crescendoed, and I took my position, quietly placing a hand on my waist. I opened my eyes, glancing back to meet a pair of swirling ebony eyes. Chi-gu inclined his head slightly, the scent of expensive perfume wafting past my face. He said, "I apologize." Since that in-depth conversation with the editor of Luna, I began to reflect on my actions. In the early days of my differentiation, I had been wary of everyone. Schools taught nothing about omega physiology, and there were no books available on how omegas should interact with others. Everyone tacitly treated omegas as caged canaries. No one imparted knowledge to them, nor provided them with public services. When the Federation detects the omega differentiation gene in children, they merely send them to the homes of the elite and aristocratic. Omegas seem to exist solely as symbols, destined to become someone's wife or mother. Yet, I was unwilling to accept that fate. I had been educated in the ways of alphas from a young age. I knew the sensation of running under the sun, the joy of engaging in free conversation with others. It was a feeling far more blissful than breathing deeply in the shade or navigating through the realm of fame and fortune. It was freedom. Therefore, when I chose to remain with the M.S. boy band, the very first thing I did was to conceal the fact that I was an Omega. I refused to be perceived through the prism of gender, even if such scrutiny is rooted in affection and adoration. I will not be confined within the opulent courtyard of nobility, despite its offerings of delicacies and status. Thus, I must strive harder and excel beyond the alpha. In the stark contrast of power between Omega and Alpha, my efforts seem limited. What my teammates achieve with a single rehearsal necessitates 10 or 8 repetitions from me. My muscles, once robust, have deteriorated. My strength has waned, and my physique has suffered. Countless silent nights find me alone in the dance studio until dawn, while my teammates still have the stamina to engage in extreme sports like equestrianism, skiing, and wingsuit flying. The vigor of an adult alpha is exponentially greater than that of an ordinary person. Only through relentless effort can I hope to dissipate their abundant energy. Yet, despite stumbling time and again, I can only grit my teeth and persevere, for I always remember the simple wish I harbored when I signed the contract with M.S. at 13. The stage is my singular dream and future. However, even with my utmost exertion, the results remain negligible. Sister Zhao summoned me to her office. "You know why I called you here today," she stated, her hands pressed against either side of the window, overlooking the 32nd floor of a commercial empire. As an ordinary female beta, her ascent to this position was far from effortless. Sister Zhao spoke with a steely composure. "My team has no room for incompetence. If it weren't for your face propping you up, you would have been replaced long ago. I trust you understand why. Now, I am giving you 10 days to demonstrate your determination and deliver tangible results. Otherwise, you may leave." I clutched my phone tightly, the dim screen still flickering with notices of debts due next month. Returning to the status of a trainee means subsisting on meager wages. I clenched my jaw and replied, "I will strive, Sister Zhao. I am not interested in your determination. I require results." With that, the female beta departed, leaving me frozen in place, my head slowly bowing. Upon exiting the office, Yutan rushed over to embrace me. "Linggu, what is wrong?" I noticed Sister Zhao didn't seem pleased. I stiffly pushed him away and shook my head. "It's nothing," Yutan remarked with a knowing glint. "It must be that Linggu is too shy. Sister Zhao likely finds our stage interactions lacking in tension, so we need to let loose." Lacking tension. Those words plunged me into contemplation. Is it possible that my self-protective mentality has permeated my daily life, rendering me stiff and wooden on stage? Alphas are inherently dominant, adept at exuding charm. Especially with the aid of pheromones, they can command an aggressive presence on stage. Even betas understand how to use pheromone perfumes to enhance their stage appeal. I began to ponder. If I were a typical Omega, how might I showcase my allure? Perhaps by releasing a hint of my pheromones. Or should I reveal my glands to them? My knowledge of Omega is limited. Fortunately, my parents, while alive, were scholars specializing in Omega research, so some manuscripts remain in my possession. However, most of the research findings were seized by the Federation University. At the time, my brother and I were unaware of their significance. It wasn't until I transitioned into an Omega that I grasped the importance of those reports. The life of an Omega is quite simple. They lead secluded existences, rarely appearing in public. From the publicly available information, it is evident that an Omega's pheromones attract alphas, but there exists a compatibility factor between A and O. If the compatibility is high, the attraction can be overwhelming, almost akin to an immediate marriage proposal. Conversely, if the compatibility is low, alphas and omegas may find each other repugnant. I reflected on my relationships with my teammates, which were not particularly strong. This often signifies low compatibility. Therefore, it should be permissible for me to release a trace of pheromones on stage to enhance my allure, right? On stage, Chi-Gu placed his hand on my waist. He murmured, "Pardon me." I nodded. The elegant and rhythmic strains of music surged once more. The duet interaction is the most captivating phase, offering the prime opportunity to project one's charm. In the past, I had been overly restrained, resulting in poor performance during the segment, garnering criticism from numerous netizens for being wooden and utterly unappealing. But today, I gently pressed my lips together. A tendril of pheromone unfurled from the gland at the nape of my neck, cautiously cascading across my body. My previously stiff movements transformed into fluid grace. Suddenly, I became acutely aware of the surrounding gazes converging upon me. Chi-gu straightened, his eyes fixated on me with the intensity of a predator. I shut out the external stimuli, concentrating solely on the sensation of pheromones coursing through me. This feeling, I sighed. Today's wife seems remarkably different, radiating brilliance. Indeed, in the past, I was merely captivated by her physique, but today I perceive a new facet of her. Yaoi, wife's waist is both slender and fair. It's a delight to behold. The teammates on site must be entranced, their eyes practically rolling onto the floor. However, did you all notice something unusual? Why have Chiyo's eyes changed color? Changed color? Surely you jest. It appears to be true. They turned red and are fixated on my wife. Eye color change and erratic breathing. This is a precursor to a pheromone riot. It seems not only Chiyo but also the adorable Yutan. Has a riot truly occurred? But since they are all alphas, it should be fine, right? The barrage of comments was intricate, yet I managed to capture the most crucial piece of information. A pheromone riot? This is dire. I knew Chiyo's earlier actions were not trivial. I gritted my teeth and hastily retracted that tendril of pheromone. However, the Joker-like suppressor on my neck was suddenly raised. Chi-gu leaned closer, his eyes now a deep cerulean. Thinking of escaping? At the world's largest entertainment forum, BIS 1L. I heard that the group you frequently promote encountered a mishap? 2L. Which group? Which group? 3L. Are you pretending to be oblivious? It's the recently popular M group. 4L. Let us be rational. Half the members experienced a pheromone riot on stage. Surely that qualifies as an incident? If it weren't for M group's stellar reputation, it would have collapsed by now. 5L. What fan would willingly leave? M group, regardless of anything else, provides an excellent experience for fans, with captivating songs and visually stunning performances. The fans are indeed generous. 6L. I concur with the previous poster. For instance, this stage performance did not collapse despite the incident. Chi-gu and Lin Yen's duet was utterly addictive. The tension during the Joker segment had me gushing. 7L. While fans are raving, let us discuss whether anything went wrong. 8L. Regardless, even though there was an incident, the performance maintained a high level of completion. Yet, I am curious about why all the members experienced a riot. Aren't you even a bit curious? I sensed the aroma of gossip. At the Feishing building, Sister Zhao tossed a stack of public sentiment monitoring reports aside, her brow furrowed. Speak, what exactly transpired? One after another. You all have let me down. She abruptly turned to face the row of composed alphas before her. Chiyo, as the captain, you have never experienced a pheromone riot before. What happened today? Chiyo spoke calmly. I sincerely apologize, Sister Zhao. I do not require your apology. Are you aware of the immense losses this incident has inflicted upon the company? And you? Sister Zhao pivoted once more, casting a fierce glare at Yutan, who was idly toying with my fingers. Yutan, haven't you also refrained from causing a ruckus before? What transpired this time? Yutan lifted his gaze, his eyes gleaming with a tipsy satisfaction as he slowly curved his lips into a smile. I simply couldn't restrain myself this time, Sister Zhao. Perhaps next time. It may happen again. Sister Zhao shot him a reproachful look before striding over to Ling Che. Ling Che, what is your excuse? Didn't you just have an outburst this month? If you lack sufficient suppressants, inform me, and I shall administer 50 injections. It's far better than you rampaging while lucid. As for Chi-gu, Sister Zhao dared not approach him, instead bypassing him to fix her gaze upon me. At least Lin Yen didn't encounter any issues. She exhaled in relief. If you all had perished, I might as well have returned home to farm. Yutan grinned mischievously. Of course Lin Gu is fine, it's merely our own lack of composure. Upon hearing this, Ling Che suddenly straightened up. Yutan, what do you mean by that? Yutan fixed a challenging stare upon him, his eyes brimming with provocation. I am referring to certain individuals who dress ostentatiously to entice their elder brothers, only to erupt at the slightest provocation. Simply disgusting. Ling Che's temples throbbed as he clenched his jaw. Realizing that their argument was about to escalate, Sister Zhao hastily admonished them. Enough! Are you both out of your minds? What if someone overhears? Yutan crossed his arms. I care not. It's not just me who harbors lewd thoughts. Ling Che gritted his teeth. You're slandering me. I simply Enjoy dressing this way. Sister Zhao, feeling exasperated, turned to Chiemo. As the team leader, please rein them in. Chiemo's gaze was profound, as if pondering something significant. After a moment, he lifted his head to address us. Let us proceed to the hospital. What is the purpose of going to the hospital? Sister Zhao queried, perplexed. To draw blood for testing, Chiemo replied succinctly, raising his gaze towards me. To ascertain if any of us are omegas. A pang of anxiety gripped my heart. At that moment, Chi Gu, who had remained silent, suddenly chuckled. He lifted his head, his face radiant yet languid. I believe you all have forgotten about this. In his elongated fingers rested an invitation card. What is this? Sister Zhao inquired, her confusion evident, suggesting her lack of understanding of her own business. Chi Gu replied succinctly, during the last banquet, Director Qin invited our group to participate in a program. What kind of program? A reality competition show. Sister Zhao's face lit up with delight. You should have mentioned it sooner. The hospital is a trivial matter. Let us first consult with the styling team. After Sister Zhao departed, Yutan released my arm, stepping forward to scrutinize Chi Gu intently. You did that on purpose. Chi Ji's gaze swept past me, landing on Chi Mo's face. I believe someone here is the one acting deliberately. Ling Che, with one hand in his pocket and half his face shrouded in shadow, wore an inscrutable expression. Chi Mo maintained his composure, casting a cold glance at him before turning away. You are mistaken. The program Eye of the God had now entered its 7th season. Following the explosive popularity of the 1st and 2nd seasons, the show had continued to thrive. However, the show's success had led to the 3rd, 4th, and 5th seasons being cluttered with various guest stars and resource-heavy participants, resulting in a chaotic environment devoid of leadership. After achieving the dubious distinction of the lowest ratings and reputation, the 6th season improved slightly. Now, in its 7th season, it could only be described as tepid. The chief director, plagued by worries over dwindling popularity, spotted Chi Gu at the banquet and, seizing the moment, swiftly handed him an invitation. It was no wonder Sister Zhao acted so quickly to join. While the program appeared unremarkable, it was currently the best option for accessing the mainstream market. Sister Zhao reignited her enthusiasm. Everyone prepare. We will convene in 10 minutes. This time, we shall reclaim what rightfully belongs to us. The other staff members looked disheartened as I fell behind alongside Chi Gu. Gazing at the sunlight filtering in, I spoke, thank you. What do you thank me for? It's nothing, just thank you. Since you are thanking me. Chi Gu paused, holding the glass door for me. Next time, refrain from wearing that joker. At the recording site of Eye of the God, the guest stars and resource-heavy participants had already been dismissed by Director Qin, leaving only seasoned veterans in the program. After exchanging pleasantries and a brief introduction to the show, they dispersed. The director's team then began distributing task cards. It's a random draw, absolutely fair. A black opaque box contained various cards. I extended my hand and drew one. Weightlifting. An elder veteran leaned in to glance at my card, visibly relieved. Weightlifting? You need not worry. We are an entertainment program. The requirements for weightlifting are not as stringent as informal competitions. It merely depends on who can no longer lift the toy first. Lin Yen as an alpha. You should have no issues with this. Across from me stood a beta, who believed I was undoubtedly the victor. Yes. I glanced down at the card, pursing my lips slightly. Since I turned 18, my strength had diminished each year. No matter how much I exercised or supplemented protein, I could not counteract the effects of hormone secretion. I had gradually transformed into my current slender and frail physique. Yet this was the best I had managed to maintain. Before the competition, I researched my beta opponent's information. A secondary athlete, proficient in track and tennis. If I were a true alpha, even he would not prevail against me. But I was an omega. Yutin glanced at my card and smiled playfully. Brother, would you like to trade? I shook my head, no need. He had drawn equestrian events, including dressage and show jumping, which were highly technical and certainly superior to weightlifting. However, he had forgotten that I came from a humble background. I had no experience in equestrianism or golf. As the elder veteran had mentioned, weightlifting was indeed the most suitable for me. So, how could I possibly triumph over my opponent? Logic urged me to concede, as my teammates would certainly win. Yet, the persistent stirrings of discontent within me refused to subside. I could not accept being merely a frail and inept omega. Bypassing Yutan, I entered the changing room alone. Chiemo sat quietly inside, an injector resting against his arm. Beside him lay a card labeled shooting. He uttered 3 sentences. The first, I know you are an Omega. The second, after the program ends, we shall marry. The third, I can accept you being surrounded by other men, no matter who they may be. He spoke these words with such haughty pride, as if bestowing a favor upon me, an Omega, from the lofty heights of an Alpha-S condescension. I exerted every ounce of strength to refrain from striking him. A cold smile crept upon my lips as I yanked my coat. Chiemo, continue dreaming your grand dreams. To consider an Alpha as an Omega. Clearly, the suppressants have muddled your mind. With each step growing more resolute, I vowed to win the weightlifting competition. Familiar comments flooded my mind once more. It seems that Brother Duh is perplexed. Despite his own magnanimity, why is his wife still so irate? Could it truly be that the men outside possess extraordinary prowess? He is simply too obtuse, failing to comprehend what my beloved truly desires. Just wait, Ling will soon arrive to provide warmth. My steps faltered as a figure approached from the opposite direction. It was Ling Che, holding a syringe filled with a transparent substance. Upon seeing me, he smiled, "You've arrived." I gazed intently at the syringe. What is this? His subsequent words overlapped with the flurry of comments behind him. A-level power enhancement agent. I appreciate your kindness, but I must decline. I gently shook my head. I cannot engage in an endeavor devoid of honor. Ling Che fell silent, yet the depths of his dark eyes began to shimmer with intrigue. Nodding at him, I sidestepped his good intentions and made my way toward the exit. With 3 days remaining until the competition, time was still on my side. I had nearly exhausted every moment to its fullest. Apart from the most essential elements of life, I had dedicated everything else. The outcome remained uncertain, but my efforts were sufficient. Finally, during the competition 3 days later, I summoned every ounce of strength and triumphed over my beta opponent. The other party offered a friendly smile, seemingly unperturbed. To outsiders, an alpha's victory over a beta was inevitable. Only I understood the struggles entailed. Nonetheless, I had emerged victorious at last. As I prepared for the next round, exhaustion washed over me. Among my teammates, Chiemo remained stoic. Jigu wore a faint smile. Yutan was practically bouncing with excitement, while Ling Che's expression betrayed a hint of admiration. Yet, at that very moment, a meticulously edited video quietly ascended the charts across major social media platforms. 10M. Lin Yen cheating cheaters get out of the entertainment industry function of A-level power agent. The footage showed Ling Che handing me a vial, with the words power enhancement clearly visible on the packaging. The video abruptly concluded, leaving an ambiguous ending that sparked rampant speculation. The internet erupted in outrage. S must be on drugs. The previous performances were clearly inflated. Needing an injection just to compete against a beta, what kind of alpha is that? Unable to win fairly, resorting to such despicable tactics, how disgraceful. Within the confines of the Flying Star building, Sister Zhao's demeanor was as dark as the depths of the ocean, her scrutinizing gaze fixed upon me. Lin Yen, did you truly use that syringe? I shook my head resolutely, no. Then get the remaining surveillance footage released immediately. Sister Zhao coldly instructed the staff. Zhao, Sister Zhao. This segment isn't from the surveillance. It's from a button camera planted by the other side, which has already self-destructed. It appears someone is deliberately trying to frame you. Sister Zhao analyzed calmly. The online sentiment is quite severe. Should we delete the comments? A staff member asked anxiously. Sister Zhao shook her head. No. If we delete them intentionally, it will only incite greater backlash. We must respond immediately. But how can we respond without evidence? Blood tests. She and the staff member spoke in unison. As long as there are no drug components in your blood, the truth will be revealed. No. The first to refuse was surprisingly Chiemo. He rose from the sofa, exuding an inexplicable aura of chilling authority. Since we have committed no wrongdoing, why should we fall into the trap of self-justification? For heaven's sake, this isn't about self-justification. We are genuinely in peril. Sister Zhao fretted in circles, and I abruptly stood. Sister Zhao, I will go. Huh? I said I will undergo the blood test. Yutan looked slightly taken aback. Lin Gu, have you thought this through? Ling Che grasped my arm, shaking his head slightly. I will go in your stead. That syringe was provided by me, and I will hold a press conference. No need. I gently brushed his hand aside with a smile. Thank you for your kindness. However, the storms that must come, I shall face myself. In the hospital, the scent of antiseptic permeated the air. The program's photographer hoisted his equipment, the darkened live stream camera aimed at my arm. A slender, pale hand was pierced by the needle meant for drawing blood. Vivid, crimson liquid surged forth. As my vision began to blur, fragments of comments began to drift into view. Wait, this trajectory. Wasn't it supposed to be the forced love arc? Indeed, how peculiar. Originally, the victim was supposed to be confined to a villa after being vilified online, followed by a series of dramatic confrontations. How did it suddenly shift to this direction? Upon reflection, it seems to have shifted from the moment Lin Yen rejected that syringe. Perhaps the entire plot has altered. To be honest, I do not wish for him to grow stronger. Such a delicate beauty should be subjected to forceful conquest for it to be interesting. Exactly. I'm tired of Omega dominating the entertainment industry. It's the alphas who should be vying for the spotlight. I lowered my gaze, striving to ignore those comments, yet they infiltrated every corner. On the pristine platform, on the slender arm, and upon the dust on the ground. They reminded me of the secret message I received the night before the incident. The world of alphas is quite fascinating. I assent it. Unfortunately, such days are soon to come to an end. Guess what would happen if everyone learned you are an Omega? Your brother might become quite popular, but for the rest of your life you would likely just waddle around pregnant, with your mouth agape for men to kiss you. I adore 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 you. However, if you can come to the top floor of the Whaley Hotel by midnight tonight, I might consider letting you off the hook, but I still think you would prefer to exit the entertainment industry. The subsequent comments were even more outrageous. I calmly took screenshots, preserved the evidence, and blocked the sender. That evening, I did not go to the designated location. The following day, that video spread across the land. I was vilified by thousands, with many demanding my departure from the entertainment industry. The beta across from me sent an apology, stating he had not anticipated such an outcome. I replied calmly, indicating I bore him no ill will. This was not a deliberate act on his part, so how could I blame him? On the third day, under the watchful gaze of the livestream, I underwent the blood test. In the hospital, there were indeed those who pointed and whispered about me. Does he think this will absolve him of his guilt? Even if he is innocent, as an alpha tainted by such scandal, his future is ruined. Exactly. Unless he magically transforms into an Omega right now, it's all over for him. It's not easy to become an Omega. If he were an Omega, he would be showered with top-tier resources in the entertainment industry, instantly becoming a sensation. Why would he endure the grind of performance? After all, there hasn't been an Omega in the entertainment industry for 30 years. Now, O's are monopolized by the aristocrats. They are virtually unseen. I suggest you all stop indulging in fantasy novels. I sat quietly on the bench, with Yutan watching me with concern. His warm palm could not thaw my icy hand. Jigo pondered quietly beside me, while Chi-Mo stood at the large window, gazing at the crimson sunset. 30 minutes was the limit for the lab tests, as well as the threshold of my judgment. At last, a masked doctor emerged. She glanced at me, then at the camera. The results are in. Sister Zhao could hardly contain her eagerness. Are there traces of the power enhancement agent? The test results for the subject are negative. There are no signs of usage. Sister Zhao exhaled deeply in relief. However, Sister Zhao's heart leapt once again. Gender identified as Omega. The doctor extended his hand towards me. The Federation warmly welcomes your arrival, esteemed Omega Sir. As long as you wish, all of Star Technology's resources are at your disposal. On the world's largest live streaming platform. Die, 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 thief, die. Aha, no matter how much you do, it's pointless. It's too embarrassing for an alpha to indulge in such preferences. Having such an alpha is a disgrace to the entertainment industry. Lin Yen should retire. Support retirement. Support retirement. Stop dancing up front. As you wish, Alpha Lin Yen has exited the entertainment industry. Now the sole king of the realm is Omega Lin Yen. Are you insane? Not insane. Hurry and watch this live stream. In front of the hospital, public opinion online once again flipped. All trending topics were dominated by the crimson letters of Lin Yen Omega. Sister Zhao held her phone, her mouth agape several times, nearly at a loss for words. Chigu asked me, "Do you still wish to remain here?" I smiled, allowing the wind to caress my face. "What do you think?" Chigu replied languidly, "This is your freedom." I have no right to interfere. I nodded. Indeed. For the sake of freedom, all else can be forsaken. The world believes that once an Omega is discovered, they must be hidden away in a noble's mansion, like jewels gathering dust. Yet I stubbornly refuse. If I am to be, I shall be a free eagle. Sister Zhao looked at me anxiously. Lin Yan, will you stay? I will. I turned to gaze at the distant, ethereal mountains, where the winding road was filled with media drawn by the news. Beside me lurked several serpents, foolishly believing themselves wise. I truly did not know whether to feel joy or sorrow. The individual sending me threatening messages was cautious, employing multiple virtual IPs and hopping through several servers. Yet he was oblivious. Before entering M.S., my greatest passion was programming. My brother, before his disappearance, was one of the Federation's most renowned young scientists. Thus, after several days of research, I had already deciphered his identity. Yutan, this seemingly harmless, most dependent teammate was, in fact, the one who had caused me the deepest harm. I discovered countless photos of myself in his cloud. Sleeping, eating, exercising, practicing dance. One after another, they were shocking to behold. The floating comments had also alluded to his actions. I keenly captured all of this. Since reaching adulthood, I have increasingly sensed that this world is an enormous novel, where everything operates in a numb and repetitive manner. The sporadic comments occasionally emerged, reminding me of pivotal moments. However, I possess the power to alter my fate. Thus, I proceed without hesitation, without pause. As the comments suggested, Ling Che and the other teammates' actions may not have stemmed from their true intentions, yet they inadvertently contributed to the main storyline of For Love's Compulsion. But I stubbornly refuse. After being an alpha for 18 years, what does it matter to be a rebellious Omega for several decades? Therefore, I offered Sister Zhao a gentle smile. Rest assured, I will stay. Year after year, the flowers remain the same, yet the people change. Nevertheless, my dream and determination to stand upon a grander stage have never wavered. The end of the text. Thank you for listening, and we shall meet again in the next story.